Zen. Alice,
Let's go.
welcome.
Well, thank you.
So glad to have you here. So, fun fact, everybody. We were talking about this right before you got on, and about the fact that I've talked to Alice maybe just a handful of minutes throughout my entire time here in Austin. I've been here for about 8 years. Yet, I see her everywhere. Everywhere.
That's so funny.
You know it's true. You do that. Like you're all these events, and not to mention you're hosting a majority of these events. So I've got to know, what is that all about, Alice? You're the hostess with the mostest. Where's that come from? What are you doing?
You know, it's funny because you're not the first person to tell me that. You're not the first person to tell me I'm everywhere. And I'm like, I hardly go out.
Come on.
No, I probably go out maybe twice a week. I like to be in bed before 9, but...
Respect, by the way.
Thank you.
I
That's
actually
my
do
sleep.
appreciate that.
That's
That's
my
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I'm kind of a different person now that I'm in Austin is right before Austin, I spent 4 years in Montreal. And being in Montreal, especially during the COVID lockdowns, life was very, very different. It was near impossible to build a circle of friends who are like-minded. So much so that I was binging podcasts. I'm talking at least 4 to 5 podcasts a day so I can surround myself. And have you heard of that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with?
Have I heard it? We just talked about it.
So there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So my local 5 wasn't really kind of happy for me when I was accomplishing things. And they weren't really challenging me and inspiring me. So I was like, you know what? Let me just spend more time with myself and then just turn to podcasts and see what I can learn from podcasts rather than not having that kind of motivation locally. So yeah, when I moved here, Austin is probably the biggest podcast central in the world right now. Actually, people think I'm joking when I say the reason why I moved to Austin is because half the podcasts that I love are based out of Austin. Yeah, they always think I'm joking. I'm like, yeah, actually no, because I know I'll find like-minded people here. Because they moved here for a reason, and same reason why I'm moving here is because things get done, people want to help one another, and things get built.
Wow. 2 powerful points. Okay. First thing is finding community/mentorship. I heard Grant Cardone say this one time, that you don't need to be in interaction with your mentors. You can still study them. You can listen to their material, find their YouTube stuff. It's huge, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's huge. Well done. That's amazing. And the second thing you said is that Austin people are out to help each other.
Yes.
I've said that so many times in conversation. It's true, right?
Absolutely.
It's like the community here.
Yep.
Whereas here, if you go to LA, what do you hear? Dog eat dog, right? Everybody's trying to get to the top of the ladder, do whatever it takes. Same thing with New York, same thing. No, here it was like, hey, how can I help? So here you are, right? And you hosted an event, when, last week, Wednesday? I think it was last week, Wednesday, for the podcast meetup.
For my favorite podcast.
For your favorite podcast. Yeah.
So maybe going back a little bit more.
Let's do it.
I got here February 1st, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And by February 15th, I had my first podcast-centric meetup for my favorite podcast, which is My First Million. And then there's 2 podcasts. Well, still there's 2 podcasts for My First Million, 2 podcast hosts for My First Million, Sam Parr and Sean Perry. So Sam Parr at the time still lived in Austin. So I started guerrilla marketing. I put posters right across Austin, especially East Austin, where I also live. I didn't know that Sam Parr lived out there as well. So my landlord at the time saw my poster, saw Sam Parr, who saw my poster, took a photo of my poster and posted it on his Facebook. And my landlord sent it to me. It was like, this must be you. So yeah, Sam Parr was able to come out to the first ever My First Million meetup on February 15th, which is 2 weeks after I got here. And I had about 45 people at the first meetup. I was so grateful for that. Half of the people there were just my friends that I've met in the short 2 weeks. They don't even know the podcast, but they know that, hey, they will find like-minded friends. So half the friends that I made here are actually from the different podcasts, podcast interview or podcast meetups that I've helped.
So you're hosting the podcast meetups. Okay. That's like the number one thing you're hosting. Yeah. And then you also have an event called GSD, Get Shit Done. And what I noticed about the twist there is that, people come into work. They come into work, right? And they meet each other, right? It's not necessarily a theme of anything aside from work. But what you said earlier is that it's to get more local businesses, more business.
That's right.
So where does that come from?
So when I first moved to East Austin, I started going to Lazarus a lot. So Lazarus on 6. And I started essentially befriending the owners of Lazarus. And that's when I learned that a lot of local businesses never recover from COVID. So their sales are about 30% down from before COVID.
Dang.
And the 4 years I was in Montreal, I witnessed how pretty much all the mom and pop business on Montreal Street, which is one of the most popular tourist streets in Montreal, it's about 30 blocks full of cool boutique shops. And during COVID, at least a quarter of them closed down because they couldn't hire people. Nobody was shopping there. And I don't want that, because what happens is like all these chain stores moved in. So yeah, that for me really sucks. My favorite bakery, it's been in the family for 2 generations. They shut their doors and sold it to a chain. Yeah, that sucks.
Sad.
Yeah, that really sucks.
So what do you do by trade?
I help small businesses scale up. Yeah. And also I'm a real estate developer.
Real estate development?
Yeah.
I'm just taking notes here. I don't want to miss any of this. This is really good, Alice. This is a dynamic life you're living here.
I have a lot of fun.
Podcasting, real estate development, small business, expansion.
Yeah.
Who's your ideal client? When you say small business, what does that look like?
So usually with the ARR of 300 to 500,000 a year.
Okay.
So I help them scale up. So that really depends on what they need. Sometimes it's operations, sometimes it's go-to-market. So I strategize and I implement. So for each client, I actually hire a full team to make sure we roll out the different strategies. Because a lot of the entrepreneurs, the problem is that they don't have ideas. They have a lot of ideas, but they can't implement and they can't actually get shit done. So what I do is I go in there and get shit done.
Oh my God, the way you say that, the way you say it, it's like, wow, I love it. Y'all get hype over here. I like that. That's cool.
It's so much fun.
No, that's super cool. I mean, you're literally bringing the energy into their space that they need. Like, I bet your clients, after working with you or while they're working with you, are just like super grateful, because to get that third person perspective, I mean, we live with our blinders on most of the time, right? So you come in, you're like the knight in shining armor with your company. That is awesome, Alice. How do you get into that?
I don't know. It somehow just happened. And it's funny because my one of my clients, she's a doctor turned full-time influencer.
Yeah.
So she's wanting to step away from the influencer spotlight. So we're actually partnering up to create an anti-agency to help other influencers do exactly what I've done for her. So hire a full in-house team instead of being one on someone's roster. Because if you're a talent with an agency, you're part of 200, 300, 400 talents on someone's roster. But what we do is that you're one of one. I hire a full team to service just this one particular person. Right. So after all her influencer friends seeing how successful she's become, like we've tripled, if not quadrupled her revenue in the 14 months I've been working with her. Yeah. And profitability is 4 digits. So now we're pulling everything in-house, and her friends are asking her how to do that. And yeah, we're about to start an agency.
Amazing. Wow, what a cool progression. And you didn't expect any of that.
No.
You're just nose to the grindstone, getting work done, and all of a sudden, boop, here it comes.
Never worked with influencers before. I still don't scroll social media. Yeah.
You don't?
No.
Well,
yeah, I've got an assistant who does it.
That's good.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, social media can be not so good, not so healthy sometimes. That's really good. Now, as you said, just out of interest's sake here, you said $300,000 to $500,000 a year. Now, that's what they're making now?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So and the goal is to get them well beyond that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the reason being is that they're already proven with the annual income of 300 to 500,000, their product or service is already proven. Because a lot of the times I can't help somebody, do the product testing.
Sure.
So I prefer to work with somebody who's already got the foundation. Yeah, just like how I can't turn somebody into an influencer, But if they're already an influencer, I can grow them, no problem. But I'm not an acting coach. I can't teach somebody to be likable. They have to be likable already.
That's a great point. Way to know your boundaries, Alice.
I've been asked before, I'm like, mate, you're not likable. I'm too direct.
So savage. Very much so. Oh my God. Oh, so well, that's cool. Now you're networking your tail off. It seems like, okay. I know you go to bed at 9 o'clock. I love it. And I know you barely get out of your house. And yet, it's not just me saying this, Alice. You're just a great connector. You're a giving connector in Austin. What's that drive? Where's that drive come from?
I don't know. It's really natural to me.
It's natural.
Yeah. I've lived in 8 countries and 9 cities across 4 continents.
Yeah.
So I've always been a very natural connector. For me, I've always been that person where I'm the person people go to when they need to know a guy. If you need a plumber, I'm like, I know a guy. If you need someone to help you with AI, I'm like, I know a guy. I've always been that person.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not intentionally.
No, it's always just been really natural to me.
Social.
Yeah.
Since elementary school, you've probably been social.
No, I'm definitely more on the introverted side. Yeah.
Yo, come on. What?
So I think that's why I like to host events.
Yeah.
I like to make sure everyone feels seen, heard, and appreciated. And I like to stand back and kind of watch the room.
Yeah.
And just make sure everyone's included. I don't really like to be in the center. So once I do the intro, I kind of pass on the baton. I don't like to be in the middle.
Yeah. Huh. You think that's a sign of an introvert?
I have no idea.
Because I'm like that too. And I always wonder if I'm an introvert or an extrovert. I had a coach one time tell me I'm an introvert. Yet I think I'm kind of an extrovert. And now I'm confused. What am I?
Did you thrive during COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're more of an introvert. I loved it. I loved it so much during COVID. I was so afraid at one point because I was living by myself and having such a great time. I moved myself into a 3-bedroom apartment to have 2 roommates because I know at that point, if I didn't, I would never be able to tolerate people ever again.
Dang. Wow. Way to self-aware, Alice. Oh my gosh.
It was great.
So I got to ask, okay, because everybody's got it. Most people, especially in the entrepreneurial space, which you are, you're a business owner. You own your own practice. Yeah. What's the vision? I mean, where are you taking this? Is it day by day, help one more client, maybe help 3 clients, and then maybe next month help 6 clients? Or what are we seeing here for our future with your bread and butter business?
Ooh, great question. Definitely want the agency to be a completely new concept in the industry, because right now the more common thing to do is to have influencer or businesses managed by some sort of external agency. So what I prefer to do is help a lot of business owners hire a full team and implement that team in-house. So that's the overall vision, but whether or not, how we grow, still pretty new.
Figuring it out. Well, that's great. Now, when you say team, do you have to hire people?
I've got.
How's that work?
I've got a lot of different businesses right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got the real estate development business that I've had for 5 years, just over 5 years. I've got a full team there. I've got the influencer business, full team there. I've got the accounts receivable for a legal industry business, pretty much full team there. And with the new agency, also a team there. And I'm also publishing 4 books this year, and I've got a team there as well. So every single business unit, I've got a team specializing in that business unit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's paint this picture then. Let's say I'm an influencer, and because I remember you said you implement a team, you attach it to their business.
That's
right. The team that you attach, is that a new team every time?
Oh yeah.
It is. But you have to figure out who's going to be.
Correct. That's right.
Which seems like a lot of work.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, establishing a team doesn't sound like a simple thing to do.
Oh, I
sounds
love
like you probably got to be kind of skilled in that area.
I very much love it. So I just onboarded a new assistant right before GSD Power Sesh today. And it was incredible because my current assistant, he's going to step down more part-time because he's going back to school. He ran the whole meeting. For an hour and a half, he ran the whole meeting.
Dang.
And there were things in there that I had no idea that he knew. And he he was just taking charge. And this Kay is only 24 years old. And he's now, I'm just so proud of him. He's become a real man.
Dang.
It's just so nice to see him take charge and be so grateful and so humble. And just, he's been with me for maybe 6 months, and he's 2 different people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you always been a leader, Alice?
I think so, yeah. Because I'm a very bad follower, I have to say. I'm a very, very bad follower. I can't even follow recipes. I know. I've never been school smart. No.
I bet it. Did you go to college?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on college? Curious.
Oh, if I had kids, I don't want my kids to go to college.
No.
I want them to have skills. Yeah.
You don't have skill. Writing's a skill.
Yeah, no.
Book reports. My gosh. Yeah. Sometimes college, I'd say, is kind of necessary, right? With certain traits, you got to do it, or else you can't do it. You can't get in. But most of the time, to your point, yeah, kind of a moot thing. Don't need to do it.
Well, I think a lot
Chunk of money.
No
ROI.
It's not. Yeah. And
yeah.
people are trained to do. They're not trained to think. I'd much rather, if they were my kids, I want them to be able to think independently, you know?
Mm-hmm. Dang. So, okay. You've got all this energy. And what I noticed, one thing that you do to kind of expel that energy, you also host another thing, a workout on Sunday mornings at the lake. So here we are, Miss Introvert. Oh, I barely get out of my house. But here's another thing that you're doing. Okay? Yeah, I'm calling you out, Alice. I'm not buying this whole. I'm an introvert. Okay? No, I'm just having fun with this. But so what's the driver behind that?
Yeah, so my friends and I do calisthenics twice a week, every Wednesday, every Sunday at Auditorium Shore. So it's just getting out, getting some morning sun, and
but you're bringing the social aspect. You're inviting people to it.
It's so much fun.
Because it makes it more fun. Is that why?
It is.
Sometimes, if I were to guess your core values, Alice, fun is one of them. I'm just taking a shot in the dark here. I don't know. Look, you said hiring people's fun. See, people will be like, are you kidding me?
I think most things are fun.
You do? Yeah. Where does that come from? Gosh. Let's tap into the mind of Alice.
I think just coming from a really boring corporate background. That wasn't fun, you know? That just wasn't fun.
Tell me about the boring corporate background. What were you doing?
I moved. So I grew up in Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Yeah.
I started my real estate development career right before the financial crisis. So I was 7, yes. So I worked for the largest real estate developer in Canada, and things were rough. Things were really, really tough. So I was luckily in operations. However, there was not much going on because the economy was slow. Our prices never dropped, but just there wasn't much action. So yeah, I moved to Australia and I worked in real estate development there for 5 years. And both of those were just like major corporations, Fortune 1000s. And it's just nothing gets done. It's just red tape and bureaucracy.
Dang. Not your cup of tea.
No, I don't do politics.
No. And you don't have much control.
I'm too direct, and I get in a lot of trouble for it.
Listen up, wing lovers. This ain't your average chicken wing. This is a Michelin-starred masterpiece. 24 years in the making, Sabalicious Wings brings you the ultimate umami explosion. 22 expertly blended seasonings, dry rubbed to perfection, and finished with secret sauces that hit you with just the right heat on the back end. Don't just take our word for it. Order now at Sabalicious Wings ATX on Instagram and taste the magic for yourself. So you went to Australia. You were in the corporate world, and you're like, "Get me out of here." What was the turning point?
Oh, I did not think that when I was there. When I was there, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm making so much money. I've got so much disposable income." I went for 12 months, and I stayed for 5 years because I was making so much money being a corporate slave. I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it. I was making
So why'd you leave?
Visa. But at the time, I didn't realize I was a corporate slave. I thought this was just how people lived. You know, you climb the corporate ladder and you just do what you're told.
Yeah.
I was a very different person back then.
So once you got that awareness of the corporate ladder and being the slave, what has that ultimately done for you?
I think more of my creative side came out. My problem-solving side came out.
Alice, does creativity equal fun for you?
I guess so.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that word fun again. I'm seeing a theme here. This is great. It's really good. This is good. So I mentioned values earlier. I threw out the word fun. Really, what gets you excited about every day when you wake up?
Oof, so cheesy. But the first thing that popped into my mind is making a difference.
Making a difference. Yeah, let's dive into that. I'm glad you said that. How would you like to make a difference? How would you like to do that?
I think it's just bringing out the best in people and just helping people become the best versions of themselves. And just going back to Kay earlier, he is a different person. He's really, really a different person. And just seeing him talk to our new colleague today, that blew my mind. I'm like, whoa.
When you say bring out the best version of people, what does that do? Let's say you help Kay become a leader, right? What does that do?
Hopefully he can be a business owner himself in the next 3 to 5 years, build a family, and essentially replicate everything that we're doing on our team with himself. So he can continue to pass on the knowledge and the wealth and just continue building that.
Yeah.
And really make a difference.
A cascade effect. And what does it mean to you to be able to help somebody do that?
Wow. I think because I don't have kids yet, so for my teams, it doesn't matter how old they are, I feel like they're my children. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Because sometimes, you know that saying, give a man a fish, you feed them for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed them for life.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to live by that. But sometimes when I see my team struggle, because I feel like they're my children, I want to step in. But I know I'm not going to help them. I have to let them make their own mistakes. So it's really difficult sometimes to just let them fail and learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
And that didn't answer my question, though, Alice.
Oh, sorry. What was your question again?
It's okay. I appreciate you sharing that. And what does it mean to you to be able to help them do that?
Going back to because I think because I don't have children yet, I feel like they're my children. That's what it means to me. They're like my children.
So,
I want to see them succeed. I want them to be the best versions of themselves as if they were my own children.
For the purpose of blank.
For the purpose of bettering humanity. So cheesy. Sorry, the first thing that popped into my head.
No. That's exactly what we're here to do. We're here to figure out the why, right? Bettering humanity. What drives you to want to better humanity in the first place?
I think it's because both my parents were really, really, really poor when they had me. And it's seeing them being able to grow, seeing what's possible, and just seeing the complete opposite. They could have taken the easy way out, but then they worked very hard to pull themselves out of poverty. Yeah. And it's just, I've seen it done, and I know how to do that, and I want to do it for others. Something I didn't mention before, I would say 90% of my team members are actually based in Nigeria. So they're either Nigerians living in the UK or Nigerians in Nigeria. Yeah. So what we take for granted, they don't.
Yeah. Right. I've never been in Nigeria. I mean, just even if I've been to Mexico a few times. And every time I travel, even to Europe, I'm like, America's awesome.
America's great. Yes.
So good. Yeah. It's like do whatever you want, kind of, within reason. Yeah.
It's so safe here, too.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have everything at our fingertips. Anything we ever want. Go on your phone. Boop. It's here the next day. You want groceries? 2 hours. Everything you want. It's awesome. Wow. I'm getting the full picture of Alice. This is exactly what we wanted to do today. This is really cool. Thanks for being so open. This is crazy. Yes. I love it. Now, legacy. Okay. It's 150 years from now. Your descendants are listening in. Oh my God. They want to get to know you a little bit better. What kind of message do you want to share with them?
Oh my God. First thing I would say is I wish I started martial arts earlier. I think everyone should start martial arts when they're about 3.
I agree, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. because it's always helpful to protect yourself.
And discipline and grit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the principles that they instill with martial arts. You said discipline?
Discipline, grit, hard work, dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids in sports, stay out of courts.
Oh,
That was a bumper sticker I read somewhere one time.
that is smart. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. And then what else? Because that's a helpful tip.
Legacy. I've never really thought about it.
I know. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
This is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
You, me, and the audience.
Gosh, I just think while I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
just help as many people as I can and just try to leave a positive impact.
Yeah. Leave a positive impact. Yeah. Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Ultimately. Because things come and go. This life is so short. So why not have a good time and make it better
Oh my God, I'm going to start crying.
for everybody? It's true. Yeah. Yeah. Think about how exciting, how grateful we get to be able to live the life that we live.
We're very lucky. I think a lot of people take it for granted, but being American, I'm not even American. I'm still waiting for my US visa, but I choose to be American because this is the best country. And I can say that after living in 8 different countries, this is the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things I want to tie in before we close out today. So you're heavily connected. I had a personal question, actually. Because we did only chat for just a couple of minutes before today, and you connected me with the owner of one of the most poppin' restaurants in Austin. Yeah. Yeah. What sparked that? Because, you're putting your name on the line to connect somebody with me, right? Somebody that you don't know so well. Where'd that come from, Alice?
I've learned to trust my gut.
Trust your gut.
I very much, my gut is, I would say 99% accurate. I've always had a very strong gut feeling. I'm really good at reading people.
Yeah. And when you say trust your gut, could you define that process by chance? Is that something that's at all possible even?
I have to say it's probably God at work.
It's got to work.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. Last podcast we just recorded, God was brought up often. Actually, the past 2 podcasts today, God was brought up often. Yeah. So you're a churchgoer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Have you always been?
As a child, yes. And then I was a diehard atheist for 20 plus years.
Okay. Yeah. And then you got back into things?
Yes.
And then how have things shifted for you? The reason I want to bring this up now, okay, because this is like a kind of a mindset motivational podcast, right? I like to bring in statistics. And statistics have said that people with faith, are X% happier and all these other different things, different positives come from it, right? How has your life changed from the atheist life to where you're at now?
Oh my God. I hope I don't cry, but it's so, I can't describe it. I think the only way to really put it into words is just I'm just content, happy, and just I feel fulfilled. It's just that sense of peace.
Peace.
I can't quite because a lot of my friends I see a lot of my friends I've known for a very long time, and they've seen me go through different transitions, losing my visa, having to pack up my life and then leave the country because my visa wasn't renewed. They've seen me go through the ups and downs. And even though now I'm pretty much in the same boat, but they tell me that's like something's different because you're just so calm and content and happy and at peace.
Yeah.
And it's
peace. Okay. Well, I'm going to share something with you. The last podcast, that same word was used.
wow.
Peace. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd say that peace is absolutely priceless, which is probably why it's hard to describe your experience before and after. It also, when you're at peace, you're also more present. You're here in the now. We're not chasing anything. We're absorbing. And presence is God, in my opinion. I've said that a few times in conversation. Take it for what it is. That's my thoughts on presence. So I can see how your life has shifted. Congratulations on that. It's huge. Yeah. It's bold. It's a big deal. It is. Wow. Okay. Alice, this has been a really fired up podcast. We got a ton of juice in a short amount of time. How can people, who's your ideal client? That's what I want to know, because deals have been done from people listening in. Who's your ideal client?
I'd love to help more influencers.
Influencers.
Yes, I would love to help.
Any specific subcategory of influencers? Or are we talking the YouTubers, the podcasters, the vloggers? Like, is there anything?
I would say right now, most of my experience have been with influencers from Instagram and TikTok. So I like to try to stick to those, but I don't think there's much of a difference between the different streams.
That's awesome. I like that. So if you're an influencer, guys, it's a no-brainer. I mean, come on. You've listened to what Alice had to say here. This is fired up. You're going to be in great hands. My gut is telling me so. And that's got to work. Folks, you heard it here first. Alice, how do people get a hold of you?
You know what? If you're ever in Austin, come to one of my events.
Yeah. How do they find the events? Where do they go? What platform?
Check us out on Instagram. Alice Loves Muay Thai.
Boom. Yeah, definitely hit her up on Instagram. So she or her teammate will respond.
It's probably not going to be me.
It's awesome. Alice, thank you so much for hopping in today. Really appreciate it. Folks, my name is Greg Carlson, Elite League Podcast. Until next time, stay fired up.